The story of Money for Nothing is weird, and one that involves many happy accidents. Whether that's microphones knocked over during recording that led to this legendary guitar sound, or Sting just happening to be on the same Caribbean island when they were recording and quoting one of his songs. But perhaps the weirdest thing is just what this song is about. It's a song about two salesmen selling microwave ovens and kitchens. The song was written when Mark Knopfler was in a hardware store in New York, and in the store were a number of TVs tuned into MTV. Mark overheard a couple of workers commenting on the music videos and joking that these musicians were making millions of dollars, essentially not doing any work.
It was in New York and I was in a kitchen appliance store, microwaves or, cookers and things like that. And then at the back of the store was a big wall of televisions all tuned to MTV. There was some bonehead who worked for the store, so he was watching MTV. And he was saying all these great lines about, that ain't working, that's the way you do it.
Mark thought this was just a brilliant idea for a song, especially with him being one of these musicians making a lot of money from music.
I just thought it was so classic that I went and asked for a pen and paper and started writing the lines down,
But it's also true that Mark felt some sympathy for these guys. Mark wasn't a fan of music videos either, thinking that they took away from the purity of musicians. What's so great about this song is that it perfectly sums up how Mark was feeling about MTV, but rather than writing something that would come off as a self-important rant, by stumbling upon these two guys having a conversation, he was able to present it in a more creative and humorous way. In the song, Mark and Sting play these two characters working in the hardware store. Mark is a brilliant storyteller in his songwriting, both in Dire Straits and as a solo artist. But I love how Money for Nothing retains the spirit of these two guys having a conversation about MTV and rock stars. Mark's reluctance to sell out to the music video trend meant that Dire Straits could have been left behind by the changing musical times. They hadn't achieved a hit as successful as their debut Sultans of Swing, and they were starting to get stuck in the rut of critically acclaimed rock radio grinders. Thankfully, a song like Money for Nothing was just what they needed. And for the guitar-obsessed band struggling to hop on a trend, this song about MTV would ironically feature one of the most iconic guitar riffs of all time. It would be impossible to talk about this song without talking about the incredible guitar riff which is the foundation of this song. Those of you who know Mark Knopfler will know he's well known for mostly playing fingerstyle. Many guitarists, of course, especially on electric guitar, use a pick. And so Mark, by playing with his fingers, is able to take influence from many styles of music.
So you get...
It's easy to think that it's the sound of the guitar that is so distinctive about this riff, but no, it's from Mark's technique.
Knopfler took what's essentially a banjo roll. That kind of...
Yeah.
And if you hear it played without the overdrive, you can really hear the distinctive style in Mark's playing.
Fuck, that is so...
But the guitar does also have a very specific tone, one that he was searching for, but also came about by accident. All of the songs on the album were written and rehearsed prior to the recording process, so when they entered the studio, the band knew the songs well, but the producers and the engineers were hearing them for the first time played live, rather than from demos. The album was recorded at Air Studios in Montserrat, a very small studio with limited space and sound isolation. Neil Dorfsman, the album's engineer and producer, said, "Generally, when I record, I like to record close and have some ambient stuff as well. Some distant mics on guitars, the drums, whatever. But you couldn't really do that there. Everything had to be close mic'd and quite heavily baffled, which was not a style that I liked. When it came to recording Money for Nothing, this limited space made things difficult." Mark was trying to replicate the sound of ZZ Top guitarist Billy Gibbons. But when it came to recording the guitar part, the microphone setup was all messed up. They must have been knocked over or moved the previous day. One mic was pointing at the floor, another was not quite on the speaker, another was somewhere else. Noticing what happened, Mark went over to try and properly set up the microphones. But the engineers said, "Don't touch a thing, it's perfect." The sound was so close to what they were looking for that none of it was altered in the mixing process afterwards. Later on, when they were working on the album in another studio, they tried to replicate the sound with the exact same equipment, but they could never get that exact sound that happened by accident. The other notable addition which really completes this song is Sting duetting on vocals. Mark already had this line, "I want my MTV," which at the time was MTV's slogan.
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV!
He had the idea to put it to the melody of "Don't Stand So Close to Me" by The Police.
I'd seen on MTV the Police doing an ad for it, and I thought, well, if I stick that to "Don't Stand So Close to Me," those notes, that would fit.
Well, it just so happened that Sting would often visit Montserrat, and happened to be there when Dire Straits were recording this album.
We were recording Money for Nothing, and I said to somebody, I wish Sting was here, and somebody said, well, he is here, he's on holiday. And I said, oh, great, I'd get him up here, because I can hear him singing on this thing. Sting came up to the studio, and we'd already had the track in place, so he just sang it.
Sting sang his "I Want My MTV" line as well as some other vocals, turning this song into the duet it needed to be. It may seem like a small addition, but it completely authenticates the original conversation between the two workers in the hardware store. It takes the song from one guy ranting about something into this back and forth conversation between Mark and Sting. It wasn't all good news, however, because Virgin Music, Sting's publisher, owned the rights to the melody on "Don't Stand So Close to Me." They realised that Sting was singing their melody on Money for Nothing. Despite Sting's reluctance, they demanded he be given a co-writing credit and therefore could claim a percentage of the song's profits. The final part of the puzzle was the music video. How on earth do you come up with a music video for a song making fun of MTV by a band that doesn't even like making music videos anyway? Mark just wanted a video of the band playing guitar, not something out of character. I mean, just look how often a guitar appears on their album covers. MTV, however, insisted that they come up with an actual video. And after a meeting between Mark and Steve Barron, MTV's director, Mark agreed that there weren't enough interesting videos, and this could be an opportunity to come up with something original. The result was an early example of 3D computer animation, something that doesn't look so impressive today but was groundbreaking at the time. The video was a huge success, winning Video of the Year at the 1986 MTV Music Video Awards. But as time has gone by, the song and its accompanying video have different legacies. Money for Nothing demonstrated some breakthroughs, both for the music industry but also for Dire Straits as a band. As well as the success of the video, it was one of the first albums to be released on CD, and the first CD to sell over 1 million copies, taking Dire Straits to international stardom. Co-producer and engineer Neil Dorfman said of the album, "I actually didn't expect the record to do what it did. I knew the band was very popular, but no one ever thought the album would turn out to be so huge." Sting also didn't think it would be such a hit.
Trudy said to me, you know, that's going to be such a huge hit. I said, I don't know, that's okay. Of course, it was the biggest hit of that year, so I was very, very proud to have been on that, but it's purely a function of just being in the right place at the right time.
As for the video, well, the computer animations don't look great by today's standards, almost childish. But perhaps more notably, MTV is no longer what it once was. The song, however, still sounds great. Perhaps Mark's understanding of the purity of music is something that has proven true. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please take a moment to subscribe.